On today's show, we travel to Texas and talk to Thomas and Emily about the operation they're working on. They raise cattle, sheep, pigs, and chickens. We talk about the grass finishing of each of those species and how they're doing that, as well as marketing efforts. It's a great episode. You'll enjoy. So we'll get started with the Fast Five. What's your name?
Go ahead.
Oh, hi, I'm Thomas Wade. We're out in Emory, Texas, and this is...
I'm Emily, and I'm the livestock manager here at the ranch. And yeah, like you said, our ranch's headquarters is here in Emory, Texas. It's about an hour north of Tyler, so we're in East Texas. But
Oh, okay. And what's the farm's name?
the farm, its name is Legends Cattle Company, and then Born and Raised is our
sales side.
sales side.
So we were doing all the
Marketing side.
marketing
direct,
side, yes.
straight to consumer.
Yeah. And what year did the ranch start raising cattle?
Probably 5 generations
Yeah, 5
ago.
generations ago.
I thought it was a long time ago. I thought it'd be good to see if y'all knew.
We've been here for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What year did you all get involved in grazing animals?
So in college, my major was animal science with concentration in production. So I've been kind of in the grazing industry for quite a bit. I started with Legends in 2021. And from there, I took on the cattle and I brought in sheep, and we kind of learned a little rotation grazing through them. And then from there, we were able to expand to now 4 species.
Which are
Yes.
chicken, beef, pork, and sheep.
Mhm.
So we do all 4, and we sell direct to consumer. And that's where I came in 2021. I became the sales manager and overseeing the direct to consumer side. My background is not in farming actually at all. I'm originally a small beach town kid in California. I moved down here about 4 years ago and just made it work. And so I'm on the sales side. So they call me the city boy around here.
Very good. So that's very interesting. Welcome to the Grazing Grass Podcast, the podcast dedicated to sharing the stories of grass-based livestock producers and exploring regenerative practices that improve the land, animals, and our lives. I'm your host, Gal Hardage, and each week we'll dive into the journeys, challenges, and successes of producers like you, learning from their experiences and inspiring each other to grow and graze better. Whether you're a seasoned grazer or just getting started, this is the place for you. Attention ranchers, ready to improve your land and boost your bottom line? Join Noble Research Institute for its March Ranch Management courses. Business of Grazing in Redmond, Oklahoma, March 4th through 6th. Learn to create detailed grazing plans, optimize profitability, and make smart infrastructure investments. Noble Grazing Essentials in Huntsville, Texas, March 25th through 27th. Discover how to assess carrying capacity, implement adaptive grazing strategies, and develop effective pasture recovery techniques. Expert facilitators with decades of ranching knowledge will guide you through practical field and classroom training. Receive exclusive benefits include virtual meetings and one-on-one consultations. Space is limited. Visit noble.org to enroll and invest in your land, livestock, and legacy. For 10 seconds about the farm today, we're feeding hay to cattle. We would prefer to be grazing more stockpile, but we don't have any, so we're grazing hay. And we feed hay in multiples of ways. Sometimes we bale graze, sometimes we unroll hay. Other times we put it in a hay feeder. We also have some lambs on the ground, sheep, just a small portion are lamb meat. The goats, they're just fat and happy right now. And still being dramatic. If you have goats, you understand that. For 10 seconds about the podcast, actually, wait, I've got something that straddles the farm and the podcast. It's another podcast. Jock on episode 149 had mentioned the Pasture pod, and Joe brought it up in our Grazing Grass community, our Facebook group, that he'd been listening to it. I thought, I want to listen to that. So I started listening to it. I'm enjoying it. It's really good. A lot of humor on there. If you like it, you might check it out. The Pastured Pod. I think it's called the Pastured Pod. The Pasture Pod. Yes. Thank you, Joe. And Grazing Grass Insiders. Grazing Grass Insiders, they help support the podcast by providing a little bit of value to the podcast. And you can join and be an insider at the grazinggrass.com website. And it just helps us keep this podcast going. I appreciate you, Joe. I appreciate the other Grazing Grass Insiders. If you'd like to join, like I said, go to the website, grazinggrass.com, and you can click on it and see there. We appreciate your support. Enough of that. Let's get back to Thomas and Emily. Emily, I want to dive into your background, but first we got to ask a little bit more of Thomas. How did you end up on doing marketing for a ranch?
Yeah. So I applied on Indeed one day to a small little company called Born and Raised, and they replied, and finally, Indeed finally worked out one time.
Oh, right. Indeed, it
It's
did.
an awesome experience, and I'm really excited for the future.
Did you grow up around livestock at all?
No.
You said
So
city boy, so you
I
had
have zero
no.
experience in livestock, but I try to question everybody a few questions. They give me what's advice a day about livestock. So it's always a good time. But I did grow up around like fish and other stuff like that. So I'm very connected with nature, and I respect all the animals and understand those, the how the nature works.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And did you go to school for marketing?
I would say I'm like I try to do everything, not formally educated, but just kind of like, I don't know, a jack of all trades, I'll say.
Yeah. Well, I understand that. My college degrees are not necessarily what I do. I just, yeah, they're just something I spent money on. Then I don't utilize them to their fullest. Yeah. And Emily, are you able to get Thomas out helping with livestock, or is he stuck marketing all the time?
He does a really good job marketing. He is
Yeah.
the best. But every once in a while, he'll come out for a farm tour. He'll bring some of the customers he meets at the farmers market out here. We'll kind of
Oh,
go
yes.
around and stuff. But it really helps his side because he's able to like see firsthand on what we're doing on the ranch, which then he can tell the customers and stuff and kind of give them a background on
Oh,
what we're
yeah.
doing. So he does a great job on all that. But yeah, I'd love to see him out here.
You always need the help, I'm sure.
Yes.
Emily, you mentioned you went to college for this. Growing up, did you grow up on a farm or ranch?
No. So similarly, I'm also from California.
Oh, yes. That is interesting.
We're from about an hour away from
Yeah.
each other, we found out, whenever we both lived there. But
Yes.
I moved to Texas when I was a kid, when I was about 8. And so
Oh, yeah.
from there, I kind of really always had a love for animals, for livestock and stuff. And then it wasn't until high school I joined FFA. And that's where I really
Oh,
dove deep
yes.
into it. I started my freshman year with a pig. And then from there, I grew to cattle. So by my senior year, I had 4 or 5 livestock animals in the FFA barn. And then I knew that was kind of the career path and goal I wanted to set for myself was to make a living out of it, basically.
Well, to jump all the way back there, when you were thinking about getting into ag or taking FFA, what prompted you to that? At that time, was it just a curiosity, or was you thought, I really like animals, I want to learn more about it? What really got you to take that next step into it?
So in California, my grandpa owned a ranch up near Oregon. And so as a kid,
Oh, yes.
we used to always go up there. He had horses, he had the cows. And so I always had a love for it. And then so I lived in Texas and I saw the opportunity. It was something I really wanted to take advantage of because I knew how much I loved it as a kid. I've always loved animals. And so
Oh, yes.
that's kind of what prompted all of it to turn into what it is today.
Oh, very good. I think those journeys are always really interesting. When I got into high school, in middle school, we had started dairying full time, but shortly before that, my dad was working for a business, and I knew they always contracted out with engineers to draw up plans for stuff. And I'd hear the hourly, let me try that one again, the hourly rate they got paid. And I thought, oh, that's what I want to do. As I went to high school, even with my farm background, I thought, I'm not taking ag, I'm taking drafting and kind of going down that path. And about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks into school, I realized that was a bad decision. And I should have went in ag. My friends who went in ag were talking about it. And I had an unfair advantage or disadvantage. My uncle was the principal.
Oh,
So so that has some disadvantages, but the advantage here was we were at my grandparents one day and he was over there and we were talking about it, and I'm like, I don't want to be in drafting. I want to move to ag, but the schedule change had already happened or ended. You couldn't do it anymore. And he's like, oh, we'll move you on Monday. So I was like, oh, great. So that really prompted me or got me into ag earlier then. But I think it's always interesting how those little things in life make such a profound effect upon where you go.
mhm.
Once you got out of college, what was your next step, Emily?
So from there, it was kind of just finding a job because where I lived is in the DFW Metroplex. And I mean, there's not much, not much farm jobs there.
Right.
And so I was searching and searching. And then finally, I actually came across the same post on
Indeed.
on Indeed.
Yeah.
And so I started talking with the company, emailing back and forth, and kind of trying to see if there was a spot on the livestock production of things. And then
Oh, yeah.
sure enough, after a couple of weeks of going back and forth, they were able to make an offer and bring me on here at the ranch. So I mean, I've been loving it ever since.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, it would have been real weird if it switched job.
Yeah.
Like if I was on the farm and she was doing the marketing, this company would not
No,
work very
and
well.
how
I'll
it
tell
works
you
right
that
now
much.
is perfect.
Yeah.
It was not what it was meant to be.
Right. As we talk about farmers, especially when you talk about small farmers, they have got to do all the parts.
Oh yeah.
And like the marketing part is not my strong
Yeah.
suit for the farm. Yeah. So it's really good that it can work to your all
Oh, yeah.
strengths. To move away from you all just a little bit, let's talk about the Garretts and the ranch. You mentioned it's been there 5 generations, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Have they always ran beef cattle?
Yeah. Yeah. So recently, from our knowledge, it was mostly calf cow thing the business, and then we'd also install a sperm as well and other
Oh, yeah.
stock.
Yes. So we had a full operation, and so we did a lot of
Oh,
breeding
okay.
of semen and stuff, and we won some awards at the Fort Worth Stock Show, and we'd sell lots of our bull semen and everything, trying to be kind of like, how do I say this? Like focusing more on the production side of things.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. A seed stock producer
Yes,
with
seed stock
production
producer, yeah,
focus.
that's what it's
something
called.
like that. Yeah.
And it's definitely, like in our current product, it shows, definitely elevates us from other, beef providers that are local, just
Oh, yeah.
how, refined or how well we've worked with our
Mhm.
seeding for the past 5 or
Yeah.
15
Yes.
years.
Genetics is definitely something the Garretts have prioritized
Mhm.
very much.
Oh,
Their whole
yes.
seed stock, their cow calf reduction. And as Thomas said, it really does show whenever
Mhm.
we're finishing our animals, whenever we get our product back, when we see it hanging at the processor and everything. So
Have they always been into Angus breeding?
yes, Angus and Brahman breeding, which is a brain.
Oh,
We focus on
Brahman.
Brangus here, but I mean, it's,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay. I was looking at your pictures and I just thought I actually can see a little Bringus in that animal now that I look at it.
Yeah. They like the Brangus breed just because the weather in here in Texas are a little bit more hardy, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
finish better, especially with a grass-fed product from what they've found. So
Oh, yeah. Now, when you came on, Emily, they were still running cattle. Were they doing grass fed at that time?
they had just started the grass. They were still a seed stock producer, but
yes.
they had a lot of calls coming in about asking if we sold beef because there was beef.
Oh, yes.
And so that was kind of a door open for our owner, Colton, kind of a market he can tap into, maybe take advantage of, because during that time, the market wasn't that big in DFW there wasn't a lot of outlets, I guess, offering what we could
Right.
offer. And so he got an early start, jumped in on it. And then From there, they were finishing couple cows a year for some customers, and that grew into our
Oh, yeah.
business and then what it is now.
About how many animals do you all finish out direct to consumer
So
a year?
as we've been growing, I know last year we did about 60. This year we plan to do around 80.
Oh, yes.
So that's just on the
Yeah.
beef side of things, though.
Right, yeah. But that's very good. That's a nice amount going out to consumers. And you all have that DFW area, which is just booming in population.
And too, like, with only doing 85 cows, a lot of our food waste, we don't have, like, we have 1% food waste that we actually really, really like to see, just because we want to stuff that animal as much as possible and make sure that it's getting to on the dinner plate and not in the trash as well.
Oh, yeah.
We definitely
Yeah.
take that very seriously, how many cattle we're raising
Yeah.
per year to feed our business.
And really how their concept in the beginning was to do bulk orders. So it was either 8
Oh,
halves,
yes.
quarters, or fulls. And so that is pretty much a staple in our business, is people being able to buy in bulk or pre-order a whole cow and just know it's going to be a high quality product.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But
When you all came on, go ahead.
so like what the bulk orders turned into now, people wanting to buy individual products, which kind of introduced us to now the farmers market side of things, is individual cuts, which now led to, okay, let's expand our protein. Let's see what else customers would be wanting to buy
Oh,
from
yeah.
us. And
Listening to your podcast, like, I'm guessing a lot of people have kind of always, like, they start on chickens or they start on beef, and then, you start moving more and more and more along in the journey. So
yeah,
we're at the floor right now with, on the protein.
Right. That stacking of enterprises, utilizing the same land base to get more proteins out the door
Yeah.
and provide more things, one-stop shopping for your customer. Really beneficial.
It's a lot better for our farm as well. Like, as you know, we kind of rotate those animals kind of over and put them in the same pastures as well. And so it kind of helps us as well, not just being a single beef farmer or a single chicken, stuff like
the
that.
multi.
Oh, yeah. Right. With talking about those management practices a little bit more, Thomas, on rotating pastures and more regenerative practices, when were they started on the farm or on the ranch?
So-
I'm terrible. I call everyone a
You're
farm.
getting it. I still, like, with customers, it's always a cow, and I'm like, you gotta use layman terms. When everyone's
Right.
corrected by a customer, be like, that's a steer, and I'm like, oh yes, ma'am, yes sir, yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's always a good time. But we've always, from the start, had regenerative practices with our rotational graze. Our chickens pasture raised, our pork pasture raised, and then our lambs grass fed, grass finished, pasture raised and rotational graze as well. So we feel like that's the best long term solution as well. As
Oh,
we
yeah.
see a lot of the corn,
Yeah.
corn fed, corn finished stuff that honestly is destroying not, I guess, our environment or our way of long-term longevity in this way. So, and we feel like it delivers a better product on the table that you might see from, the grocery store or other spots like that.
Right.
As far as the ranch itself, though, they have been practicing the regenerative farming, rotational grazing for, longer than I've been here. And I think it's something definitely for the cow
Oh, yeah.
calf operation that they wanted to focus on, just because of the margins you're able to achieve when you're not having that high feed bill. You're not having to supplement different feeds or proteins and stuff, that that when you spend the money on the seed for the pasture, then that's their winter grazing. You redo it in the spring and you have
Oh,
your
yeah.
summer grazing. And so it's definitely something they've done for many years. And now we do it a little more, like,
More efficient.
it's more efficient now with the finishing practices.
Oh, yes. And we're going to get a little bit more into that grass finishing a little bit later in the marketing. So right now, I want to talk about jumping back just a little bit. When you got there, Emily, it was beef only. And you all And then you brought in sheep. Why'd you bring in sheep at the time? I know Thomas had mentioned that, just the marketing, getting more proteins out, better use of the land. Was that the driving force or was there something else?
So we knew we wanted to expand. And so to us being a grass-fed, grass-finished beef operation, the next kind of step for us was sheep because they are
Oh, yeah.
100% grass-fed, grass-finished. And so we knew that we were able to take our pasture land for the cows and not have to do too much really intense work. And then we can bring sheep on. And so when I came on, we got all of the ewes and the rams, and then we started our breeding program because we wanted to really do the same thing we're doing with the cows, keeping genetics in-house, not having to go out and buy lambs that you don't even know if were fed grain in the beginning or when they were
Oh,
weaned. And
right.
so we wanted to, like I said, mentioned earlier, kind of keep our profits as large as possible, or margins as large as possible. And so having them road graze now our grass pastures really was kind of the next step for us.
And what breed did you go with when you all got those initial hair sheep?
So we went with Dorpers. I spent a lot of time researching
Oh,
just
okay.
because it's East Texas, it's hot, it's humid, trying to
Yes.
figure out what breed is going to do the best here. Because just being in FFA during high school, I knew all the different breeds. I knew what kind of does best in our region and then what would be best for a grass-fed and grass-finished product. So we decided to go with Dorpers.
Has that decision worked out really well? You guys are sticking with the Dorpers?
Yes.
Or has there been anything you're like, maybe we need to change it up a little?
No, we're really happy with the lamb product. We thought it was delicious, but the one thing that has come consistently be a challenge is the coyote.
Sure.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Yes. They are definitely a challenge always.
Mhm.
With your Dorpers and introducing them to the farm, how was that process? Did you I'm trying to think how to word this, Emily. How I know when I introduced hair sheep to the farm, and of course, I'm a slow learner, it took me by surprise a lot of things about them. One, they're not miniature cattle.
No.
You can't handle them the same way. How easy they are surprised me. How little hay they eat surprised me. But there were some things that surprised me about that. How was the journey for you all adding sheep to it?
It was definitely a learning curve for everyone. So, because it was me coming in, new employee, and all of a sudden I'm introducing 100 head of sheep when we have a whole
Yes.
group of people on the ranch and that were used to cattle. And so it's definitely a learning curve for everyone. We started off, we pinned them in we call it a picture pen. We pinned them in our picture
Oh,
pen
yes.
for about 30 days just to get them acclimated to being on the ranch, acclimated to the livestock dogs, and then for them to be used to us being in there with them because they didn't know us. They weren't used to people.
Oh,
And
yes.
so from there, we kind of learned how to deal with them. We got them used to a hot wire, trained them on a hot wire. And then we found out the best way for us here at the ranch to be able to work them. And so one of the challenges we had was
Oh,
trying to use our cattle chutes and cattle pen to work sheep. And we learned really fast that
yes.
is not the answer. And so, yeah, just a bunch of learning curves, trial and error. And so we found out the best practices for us, realized that loading them all on a trailer, working them off the trailer is the best route for us. And makes it to where the sheep are used to going on the trailer. So it's not a constant fight.
Oh,
Or,
yeah.
yeah, it was definitely just a learning curve that it took time, but yeah.
It does take time. And yeah, it took more time than I ever anticipated it taking, but it took some time. Thomas, on the marketing side of that, do you find your customers readily interested in purchasing lamb? Or is it more of an educational piece that takes them a little while before they're ready to invest in some lamb?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there are some people that are very like on top of it, and that's what they seek. Some customers that you might have to introduce certain products to, but as overall, I like to, just give it a try. We have, like little lamb chops that are great. I like to say that's like a Saturday or Sunday type of meal, and, or a date night that stays just kind of using that. And then also too, like for people that might have not had good experience with lamb, this is also another way for them
Oh,
to
yes.
like reopen that piece on lamb, especially now that it's grass fed, grass finished. Some Australian or some of the other stuff that's sold in the stores. And so it's really
Right.
nice to see that people are open to opportunities of trying other types of lamb or other species as well, which is really, really nice to see.
Oh, yeah, it is. How many head of sheep do you all process each year?
So last year we processed about 15. And then this year we
Oh,
had
okay.
about 15 babies that we were birthed last spring that we're working to finishing right now.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I wanna come back to that age of finishing of sheep a little bit later when we talk about grass finishing. But so you're direct marketing a portion of them, then the others, how do y'all market the others lambs?
So the other lambs, they're part of our breeding program.
Oh, okay. Okay. And do you have all registered stock?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Very good. N And then you said you've added pork and chicken.
Mhm.
When were they added to the process?
So pork was added probably 6 months after the sheep. And so whenever
Oh,
I
okay.
came in, we had a plan. We had a plan for what was going to go where basically on the ranch. And so once the sheep were up and running, it was time to focus on the pork. And so for the pork, we once again like the sheep, it took a lot of research because
Yes.
we wanted a product that would stand out because like typical pork you buy at the store, it's not as flavorful. It's just kind of a meal you put together with
Yeah.
pork chops and stuff. But so after research and kind of determining, okay, what's again going to do best in our region, we decided to go with the red wattle breed, which is not a well-known breed,
Oh, okay.
but it's a North Texas or East Texas native breed. So it's a heritage breed.
Oh,
And
yes.
so they do extremely well in our conditions.
Did y'all have any trouble sourcing breeding stocks for that?
Yes, just because it is a very, very not popular breed, but I was able to
Right.
find a breeder down in Huntsville that I worked with, and all of our products have come from him. All of our pigs have come from him. So it's
Oh, yes.
consistent. We know exactly what we're getting. We know how they're going to finish.
So are you bringing them in as feeders or are you doing farrow to finish?
Right now, we're bringing them in as feeders just because the fair breed to
Oh, yeah.
finish requires a little more. Um, it requires a different operation than we're set up for because we want to make sure like they're not they have a history of like crushing their babies or killing their babies. And so we wanted to that's something we are looking into doing in the near future. It's just kind of how we're going to set that up with what we have available right now. If we're going to have to do farrow and crates, if we're going to have to make a birthing barn or because we want them to be able to maximize their production. We don't want to kind of just throw them in the field and say good luck.
Oh, yeah. And just on any species, finishing is one enterprise, production and producing babies is another enterprise.
Mhm.
And a lot of times they take a little bit different management, different tools, etc.
Mhm.
for them. And so you added the pork and you went with red wattle. Has the meat been everything you thought it would be?
Yes, there is a huge difference
Yeah.
in our product compared to what you would see in the store. It's got a really rich red color. I'm sure Thomas
Yeah.
can tell us more.
We can't keep bacon in stock at the current moment. It
Oh,
flies
yes.
off the shelf like that. It's really, really quality stuff, and our customers are always raving about it.
Yeah, it's very rich in flavor for sure.
I've talked different times about getting a few pigs, and I haven't pulled the trigger and done it because I'm just like, I just don't know about the market because pigs are so cheap, and anytime you're raising animals and you figure in those costs, especially for pork, it's just a little bit more expensive than what you think it would be. So I'm always worried about that price point.
Yeah, and so we actually plant pastures for our pigs. So we work with
Oh,
a
yes.
company that gives us a good mix for what we're trying to achieve. So they'll help us put together a fall grazing mix for pigs. They'll help us put together a spring grazing mix. So that it's pretty much a mix of different grasses, roots, turnips, and stuff that
Oh,
once it's
yeah.
up, they're able to root and really just graze on that. So it's been a good balance that they're grazing the pastures. They're out there, they're eating the roots of the plants and they're eating the turnips and stuff. And so it really benefits them in finishing and the beef quality or in the meat quality we're getting.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it does. Yeah. And before we dive back into that on finishing, chickens. When did you add chickens to it?
Chickens?
Or poultry? I don't remember if you said poultry or chicken. I guess I should have wrote that one down.
It's just chickens. Right now we're just doing chickens. We are looking to doing turkeys for the upcoming fall. So that
Oh,
we're
yeah.
focusing on figuring out for the spring so we can get it ready for next fall. But as far as the chickens, we added chickens probably almost around the same time as the pigs. We kind of did
Oh,
it
yes.
around the same time. It was a lot of kind of trial and error based on what we wanted to raise them in, how we wanted them to be pasture raised, because there are some people that do pasture raised where they just throw them in the field and they just have a place for them to go at night. We weren't sure if that was going to work for us because of the livestock dogs that are out, the different species are running.
Oh, yes.
And so we decided on these chicken houses that we built, and then every day we would move them. We would move.
Oh, yes.
So they have fresh pasture, fresh grass every day. And we started with 100. So we're doing batches of 100, finishing every 8 weeks. And then from there, last year we bumped it up to 600. So every 8 weeks, we finish 600 chickens. And so just because we upped the production rate, we invested in a larger chicken house. It's now 25 by 50. It gets moved every day. They get fresh pasture every day. And the drapes come down at night, so we don't have to worry about really any predators getting in. It blocks them from the cold. And so really we took a lot of the errors we found from our batches of 100 when we were starting out to kind of know what we needed to up production and how we were going to be successful doing that and really find what was best to make an investment in.
For that chicken house, that bigger one, did you all build it or did you buy it? Is it available for other people?
So we built our first one. We built our first one based on we used a greenhouse basically, and we put skids on the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
We wrapped it in chicken wire, got a tarp and everything for it. And then that ended up being blown away in one of our more heavier spring storms. So from there, we kind of had to scramble, revert back to our first style we were doing it just until we got another one built. So we actually invested in one from Pasture Tech, and it has worked.
Oh, yeah.
So that is what we're using now.
Oh,
it's so good. It's one of the best investments we've made here on ranch.
Is that 600 you're doing per batch the capacity of it, or do you have some room for growth there? Or would growth require a second one?
We do have room for growth, yes. So we could probably run up to 900 in that coop or in that house.
Oh,
but we upped production last year, and it was kind of getting feedback from our customer base, like, well, how much is it going to sell? Is this something worth ramping up?
Oh, yeah.
And so based off of last year, it's definitely something we're ramping up this year. It is one of our top sellers.
And we always don't want to produce more than we can sell as well. And so therefore we always are just trying to ramp up equally to our customer base as well. So we're not using big food waste or anything like that. Because we want to be on the wooden plates.
Yeah, we don't want to overproduce because we don't want to be selling our customers something that's been in the freezer for a year. That's been in our store. We want to make sure they're getting the freshest.
Yeah, and that all makes sense. Yeah. Well, let's transition to our overgrazing section. At Redmond, we know that you thrive when your animals do. That's why it's essential to fill the gaps in your herd's nutrition with the minerals that they need. Made by nature, our ancient mineral salt and conditioner clay are the catalyst in optimizing the nutrients your animals get from their forage. Unaltered and unrefined, our minerals have the natural balance and proportion that your animals prefer. This gives your herd the ability to naturally regulate their mineral consumption as they graze. Our minerals won't just help you improve the health of your animals, but will also help you naturally build soil fertility so you can grow more nutrient-dense pasture year after year. Nourish your animals, your soil, and your life with Redmond. Learn more at redmondagriculture.com. And for the overgrazing section, we're going to talk about grass-based finishing, and then we're going to cover a little bit more in marketing in here because we don't want Emily to talk the whole time and Thomas get no words in.
I swear I hear all the podcasts.
Yeah. Everyone wave at Thomas. He's here.
Oh,
No,
God.
I'm joking. Okay. On the grass finishing, one thing you mentioned earlier, Emily, you all do some planting to get some forages out there for finishing, or that was my understanding of it. Are you all doing pasture drill and putting in forages and finishing all species on different forages, or how are you managing that?
So we create a specific blend, a seed blend for all of our different species, just based on what they're going to do the best on. We don't want to graze our
Oh, yeah.
cows on our planted sheep pasture because it's not made for them. It's not going to give them the highest nutritional value that they get on their own. So we work with our seeding company and we are able to come up with the right mix for each species that benefits what they need, the time of season it is, and
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
help align and accomplish our goals.
So most of these mixtures, are they annuals or there's some perennials in there as well?
There's some perennials in there, yes. And so our fall and winter is really just some winter grasses. And then we also like to throw in some like peas, so
Oh,
wheat,
yeah.
rye. Our case, like I said, do like turnips and radishes. We also have a little bit of that in our sheep mix too, because they like to, the tops, the green part, I guess the forage part is really new
Oh,
for them.
yes.
And then in the summer, it's really grass heavy focused. So it's more of like your Bermuda, fescue, clover.
Right. One thing with the brassicas, the turnips and beets and stuff, I've also often heard good things about planting that with your winter annuals you may be planting. I've just not had very good success rates with it. I'm sure it's the way I'm doing it, and I've got to figure that out better because I've heard good things from using those species. With your boy, I was so focused on what I was saying, I didn't even get the next question in. You know, there's only one track up here, so it's got to. With your different species and getting them in, what kind of time period or age are you finishing each at? And of course, we may want to just start with chickens because it's the easy one to get out of the way. I assume you're finishing them at 6 or 7 weeks.
We finish ours at 8 weeks.
At 8 weeks.
We finish them at 8 weeks, just because we don't really love to push feed. We don't want them to be growing too fast. We want them to focus on that grazing, getting the natural proteins from the bugs and then the grass. And so we finish them at 8 weeks, and we found that really works best for us, especially with them being out in the pasture.
And you're using Cornish cross. What weight are they at 8 weeks for you?
They're about, what do you say, like 7, 8
pounds?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then, like, whole chicken, once it goes, the weight processing is like 4 pounds.
Kind of my next question. And with the processing ending up with that 4.5 pound bird, are you finding that works really well for your consumers? Do you ever get any feedback you'd like a smaller one or a larger one?
So we do have some sets of ranges, kind of sits around there. That's just developing a good relationship with the customer, kind of knowing where they sit. You know, if you have a couple of two, they're probably going to want a little bit on the smaller side, and a couple, families going to want it bigger. But, with the canned chicken or in the Instant Pot or crock pot, there's always leftovers. So it's just using the recipes and making sure that you're connecting with the customer as best as possible. But every once in a while, that, where it just doesn't add up for them, but that's how it usually works.
Yeah. And you're producing the chickens spring through fall?
Yeah, so our chicken season is pretty much, we'll start back in the end of February and it'll run until about Christmas. So we take
Oh,
take a
okay.
little break during those like really cold months just because we we want to make sure we're not setting them up for failure, basically.
Right. And are they put on pastures that you planted certain forages you thought would benefit the chickens more, or are they more somewhere? I don't even know where the "or" would be on that. So, are you planting specific, species for your chickens to graze?
No, so our chickens were just
Okay.
on our native pastures. But one thing that we have seen really benefit with our new chicken house and rotating them every day since the beginning is that they become a natural fertilizer for us. And so
Oh, they do.
as they're eating, they're scratching the surface, they're really digging in that fertilizer for us. And then in the summer, that morning dew helps to kind of water it down so it's not getting burned up by the sun. And so if you look out across our pastures, we have two kind of next to each other. The ones with the chickens on it always looks better because of that natural fertilizer. So we sometimes move our cows onto that one if we're kind of in the middle of a rotation period, just because we know it's quality grass.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing what chicken litter will
Yeah,
do
that's the
to
word.
ground and improve it. Yeah.
Somebody who's never been around it, it is tough smell to be around.
Yes.
Every time, I'm like,
Yeah,
"Ooh."
yeah, for a number of years, we had some commercial houses.
Wow.
So spreading that litter out, and then there's still some commercial houses not too far from
Wow.
us. And when we head to town, we know when they've spread the litter out. Yep. Yeah. It it's definitely, those big houses, getting that smell off you was just
Yeah.
awful, and just being in there. I love the chicken tractor, smaller size, and the way that works. With your pigs, at what age are you finishing them? And I'm assuming with the pigs, they're kinda like chickens. You can't finish them completely on grass. You've gotta add some grain in there as well.
Yes, so we add
Is that
grain
true?
into their diets, but we really limit it. We limit it because we don't like a fatty products on our pigs, and so they get about they get about 120 pounds of feed a day between 20 of them. And so actually, it really just depends on where they are in the stage, if they're younger, if they're older, how much they're really needing. But we do use grain to finish them. We don't like to focus on it. We don't like it to be their main kind of protein, I guess, or their main source of feed. And so with our pigs, we finish them around 280 pounds, which takes us about, I want to say like 8 to 9 months, or maybe not.
Oh,
I
okay.
would say probably closer to 7 months it takes us to finish them to the weight we want.
I'll be honest, Emily, I know we've got listeners out there, though, that may be yelling at however they're listening, saying, "That's not the right time frame." You could tell me whatever on how long to finish the hog, and I'm gonna be like, "Okay."
Yeah, I mean, we are different than a normal pig producer because we focus on them
Right.
grazing the pastures. We're not feeding them until they get fat and trying to have a fast grow. We're
Right.
really wanting to prioritize that their diets and our product basically, or
Mm.
what we're producing from them.
Right, yeah. With the sheep, I think you mentioned you're holding some over that'll be yearlings coming up. So are you finishing your lambs out as yearlings?
No, probably right under. The ones we are keeping back, the
Oh,
ones we're
just right
adding
under? Oh,
into
okay.
our breeding program.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I misunderstood
No,
there.
yeah.
So you're finishing them down a little bit under a year of age?
Yeah, probably around 9 months is when we're finishing them on our ground.
Oh, okay.
So around the 100 pound, 110 pound mark.
Oh, okay. And that gives you how many pounds per lamb of
About what,
sellable product?
40, 50? 40, 50
Yeah.
pounds.
Yeah.
Good size. You always are getting an idea of the health off of them.
Oh, yeah, yeah. On your lambs, when we think about grass finished beef, and you can look at that beef animal and see if they're finished, you're looking at some fat on the tail head, you know, does it have happy lines? That's always really good. On sheep, how do you tell when they're finished?
On sheep, on the way, you can feel their backbones to really know how much fat on
yeah.
those chops. And so that's what I kind of do. If we got them loaded in the trailer and we're deworming them or anything, I'll kind of feel just to see where they are. We'll take a weight and I'll kind of make a gauge based on that, on where they are with
Oh,
fat
yes.
content and everything.
Yeah. So you're wanting to be able to fill some fat along that top line?
Mhm.
Very good. For beef cattle, at what age are you finishing your cattle, and are you finishing steers and heifers or just steers?
We're finishing steers and heifers. Yes.
Oh,
So we
okay.
found that our heifers, they're a little faster for finishing,
Yes.
but our
Yeah, a little.
steers, we finish them at around 1,200 pounds. And then it takes us about 18 to 20 months for a finished product.
Oh, okay. On finishing your cattle, you've already spoken a little bit to your planting of grasses. Do you run those in a separate herd from your cow herd so that they're on a higher plane of nutrition?
Yes. And so our finishing cows are here at what we call headquarters, and then our cow calf operation is on a separate property, just so we can keep them separate.
Oh, okay.
And we really focus on the ones here getting the most nutritious pastures for them to finish. And so they come here when they're weaned, and then from wean to finish, they're here on our planted pastures.
Oh, okay. Okay. And with all these products, and getting them finished, you've got to process your beef, you got to process lambs, you got to process pork, process chickens. Do you have a processing plant you're able to take all that to, or are you doing some in-house?
We take them all. So our pigs, sheep, and cows all go to a processing facility close to us. It's called Mineola Packing Company. And we've worked with them for years. They're really great. We love them. They are exceptional.
Family operating, family owned, and that's definitely something that we, really want to put in the front as well. Just working with other small individual businesses and trying to stay away from the big corporations. Even if it's quote unquote easier to work with those guys, there we want to make sure that we're supporting our local area as well.
Oh, yes.
And likewise.
And one thing I noticed, you'll have your own labeling for those packaged meats.
So because we are with the smaller processors, they're able to work with us on the packaging. And then since we've grown, we are kind of realizing that we needed a better inventory system. So we were able to work with them on a barcode and everything. And then
oh, yes.
Like what Thomas was saying, the smaller businesses, we use Windy Meadows in Commerce, Texas for our chicken processing. So they're family owned and operated, and they're really great as well. So our baby chicks also come from them. So we get them as a day old, and then 8 weeks later, we take them back to Windy Meadows to process them.
Oh, okay. So they're a hatchery as well as a processor.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. I wish I had something like that closer to me.
Yeah, they are one of the companies that I don't think we would survive with if we didn't work for them. And they also sell their own products and stuff like that as well. We sell those as well. So we want to, help us and everything like that. We definitely love to see other people's products out there as well. Just so, we're ensure that work is very diverse in the way as well.
With your chickens, we talked about those, and you got multiple sets going. So you're going to be processing a few or one batch every so often.
Mm-hmm.
With your sheep, pigs, and cattle, are you just processing a few at a time, or are you trying to process as many as you can at one time?
No. So with our pigs, we do 2 groups per year. And so once the pigs we have out on the pasture are close to that finishing mark, we have worked with our breeder to where he knows our schedule and his schedule, and he's able to have piglets ready for us to come to the ranch as soon as those ones are done.
Oh, yes.
So we do about 2 batches of 20 a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think Thomas mentioned a little bit earlier, or maybe as you, Emily, about the start was selling shares of a animal, a half of a beef or a quarter. And now you've moved into some cuts and stuff. How is that going? Are you finding the customers really prefer the opportunity to purchase cuts? Does that cause a problem for you in storage? What do you all do to store
So
all that meat?
I would say for individual cuts does help the customer. And each customer is different. We found that there's some people that love to do shares of whole cows. We can
Oh,
go
yeah.
down to 1/8 as well. So if you're a smaller family or two individuals or an individual, those should so more so if they have freezer space. That's what they prefer. But we do also have boxes and other bundles that will be delivered bi-weekly or monthly. So a lot of people go to that as they try to re-up every so often. But the single cuts, those are reacted really, really well. And so that's a big part of our business and which we love to provide as well because it kind of gives you a little bit more choice overall.
Oh,
It,
yeah.
it also gives our customers an opportunity to try our product before really making that
Mhm.
investment on getting
Yeah.
100
That's
pounds
an
to and
excellent
from.
point.
And there's a lot of people that are very culinary good or can cook extremely well. And so if they want to just try like beef tongue or beef heart or something that might not be like the traditional kind of like cuts, that opens that up as well. Which lingua,
Oh, yeah.
favorite taco right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. I've not tried it, so. With you mentioned bundles there just a moment ago. Is that a subscription base where they're getting a bundle
Yeah.
every 2 weeks or once a
Yeah,
month?
so right now we have it at every 30 days. I believe you can do every
Oh, okay.
90 days as well, but those are boxes that are like a beef stippler box. We also have a grill box. And then we also have like a ground product box, so pork, beef, and everything in between. And so that really helps kind of open up other people's ways of cooking and stuff like that. Definitely helps, diversity the cooking experience.
Oh, yeah. Do you provide delivery? Do they come to the farm to pick up? Is it at farmers
Yeah.
markets? Do you mail
So we
anything?
do free delivery for all of North Dallas. We deliver on Monday and
Oh, okay.
Wednesday. And so if you order it on Saturday or Sunday, we'll deliver it on Monday or Wednesday. And for all of North Dallas at the moment. We are trying to expand farther with our growth and more vans and other stuff like that. We'll be able to do all of DFW, but we do ship as well to all of 50 states as well, so we can do that as well. And then we also sell at the Frisco's Farmers Market on Saturdays and Sundays. So we're out in the community as well.
Oh, very good. Very good. One thing on your bundles, do you find people prefer the bundles to purchasing a share, or is it just more like these people have always purchased a share, so that's what they do? These people do bundles.
Yeah, I would say the bundles are definitely great, especially if it's like the summertime and you're doing the grill box deal.
Oh, yeah.
And we do rotate the boxes seasonally. So you would want a
Oh,
winter
okay.
box, a summer box, spring box, especially if you don't want to flakes when it's, 32 outside and you're trying to grill out there. So we do cater it to the best possible ways of seasonal cooking. And so it's definitely kind of 3 months if you want to, grow box each month. It definitely helps. And then a share would be more of like a long term thing. So it just kind of depends on the
Oh,
customer
yeah.
Yeah.
and what they're looking to do. I know a lot of people like to do the shares because then they never have to go buy meat for, long periods of time, which is good as well.
My opinion is that the beef bundles really allow the customer to kind of specifically find what they're looking for or what they're wanting.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, if I was getting a beef share, I can't necessarily say I only want steaks or I only want roasts. And so it kind of enables them
Right.
to kind of choose, like, okay, if I only want roasts, then I'm going to get this beef box. If I only want grillable items, I'm only going to get this instead of getting a share and getting all these cuts that you're not entirely sure what you're going to do with yet.
Yeah, when I think about it, I agree with you, Emily. I think bundles have a lot of advantages, but traditionally, it seems we as farmers market in shares, and it's hard to change that paradigm. One thing I noticed about your website that I really like, you've got the set prices on there rather than per pound by hanging weight. I just think you're removing some confusion for that customer whenever they're trying to do it. And anytime you can remove some confusion and make it easier, it's going to be beneficial.
And with those shares as well, we're spreading them all the way through. So you're not just getting just roast and ground beef on the one day.
Oh,
You're going to get steaks, you're going to get all three categories as well. And so I think that's kind of helpful as well in that way. But yeah, we like to stay away from the hanging weights because each animal is different as well.
Oh, yeah.
And we also want to make sure we want to focus on our customer base and know that they're getting the best experience as possible. We want to make it as easy as possible, just so whenever they come to us to buy meat, it's not a whole process. They know what they're getting. They know how much it costs every time.
Because I feel like when I was in the beef industry, it was definitely a little intimidating. Like asking,
Right.
Okay, well, I need to go to the butcher. I need to sign off on the hanging weight and stuff like that. And then next thing you know, a cow goes from 800 pounds to 400 pounds in a matter of 2 days. And you're like, well, where'd all that go? So it makes it a little bit more
right
on the processing and nurturing.
I agree with you, Thomas. One last thing on the bundles. If they have a subscription bundle, just so I understand this correctly, that bundle is not necessarily the same bundle every time. It changes with seasons, or can they get the same bundle every time?
So if you'd like to do the grill box all the way through 12 years out of a month, we can do that. We haven't seen a lot of customers do that, but it is something that you can have yearly around. It won't be on the website all the time.
Oh, yeah.
It's just kind of that as well. Once you cancel it, then we'll stop sending. But yeah, you can do like a grill box or a winter box through the whole entire year.
That's as simple as sending us an email. Customers send us emails all the time. But it's like if it's in the summer, we're not necessarily going to post really push a roast bundle, and so we'll kind of keep that inventory in to fulfill our bulk orders instead of kind of trying to push people to buy roast bundles. So,
but definitely just shoot us an email. We'll get you set up for it.
Oh yeah, very good. Do you find most of your customers buy more than one type of protein?
Yeah, so we have definitely purchasing proteins. So mostly chicken, beef, pork. Lamb is usually a little bit harder to sell. Not just because it's a little bit more out there. But we have a lot of people that will purchase multi-proteins within one go. Usually, you're going to get one single where it's just beef. Usually it's not just 2 proteins, but we can always do the 2 proteins as well.
Oh, yeah. What requests have you had for stuff you're not providing yet?
We've had a lot of requests for beef fat because beef tallow is a big thing, right?
Oh.
It's just with our product being grass-fed, there isn't a lot of fat. We're not fatting up these animals. And so that's one thing we've gotten a lot of requests for. You on the farmer's market?
I would say I like to say it's kind of like you can cut a cow so many ways and there's so many cultural ways of cutting. And you have somebody that wants plain grains, but then you have somebody that wants like a lot of it or, dino ribs. And it's kind of playing that game. But we try to keep it rotationally seasonal and stuff like that. But I would say definitely beef fat's a big one. And then beef heart, ear, other stuff like that.
Turkey's a big one.
And then we also do have ancestral blend, which is quite popular, which is a heart, liver, and kidney blended with ground beef. And it's definitely one of our more popular items. And I highly recommend for any other farmers out there to start using as it's not as aggressive or as that, I guess, gamey flavor. It's a little bit more relaxed. So getting that nutritional value out of it as well.
Oh, very good. Very good. I know, just speaking on those cuts, my wife's from Hawaii. and coming here, she's like, the cuts we have in Hawaii, I can't find them here. Yeah, it's just
so you got
society, cultural differences.
And stuff like that. Dang. It's funny, I actually lived in Hawaii for 8 months, so
I know
where your wife's coming from.
What island do you live?
So I was for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
there. But just to gain experience and then how they work with pigs and other stuff like that is really cool to see. And and that's where we're trying to reach is, also getting out to other, cuts of those flint graves and other
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
in the whole agriculture.
Definitely something we focused on in the last couple of years is that zero waste that Thomas was talking about, making sure we use all
Oh,
parts of
yeah.
the cows, making
Mhm.
sure we have a variety of products that fits all of our different customer bases and stuff. And
Mm.
so, like the ancestral event he was talking about really helped us out because we're not wasting the liver or the heart anymore.
Oh,
Which is
yeah.
something that was not as easy to sell. That's really a more confined market is now something we've opened up to more customers that are willing to try it and really like it.
And I always tell
Oh,
customers,
yeah.
like, I don't want, your headspace or, like, I feel like every salesperson, every marketer wants like something crazy. And it's like, I just want your palate. Like, because if I can change your palate, then you can
Oh,
open a
yeah.
lot of doors. And that's one of those things where using that ancestral blend is such a key in our business as well. That definitely helps.
Oh, very good. Is there anything else we didn't cover that you all are like, I'd like to have said something about that?
I think, like, good. Yeah, I think we covered everything that we'd like.
Yeah.
If
Good.
anybody knows any time to go back to using the whole cow, if anybody knows any people in DFW that does unprocessed leather, we're looking for a leather person. Okay?
Oh, yes.
We're trying to
Yeah.
get brands or other stuff out of our leather as well that we get from the cattle.
Oh, very good. Well, Thomas and Emily, it's time for our famous four questions. Today's famous four questions are sponsored by Manderley Farms Grazing Conference. Attention, all farmers, ranchers, and land enthusiasts. Join us for an unforgettable grazing conference on February 21st and 22nd, 2025. At the beautiful Manderley Farms in Pikeville, Tennessee, nestled in the scenic Sequatchie Valley. This is your chance to learn from the best in the business. Our speakers include the renowned Greg Judy alongside the dynamic duo Greg and Debbie Brand. Expect engaging sessions, informative pasture walks, and interactive question and answer sessions with our experts. Discover how to revolutionize your land management with regenerative grazing practices. Whether you're looking to enhance soil health, increase biodiversity, or improve your pasture productivity, this conference is tailored for you. Don't miss this opportunity to grow your knowledge and your farm. For more details and secure your spot, visit www.manderleyfarms.com. That's Manderley. Same four questions we ask of all of our guests. And our first question, what is your favorite grazing grass related book or resource?
I say the two that really helped me a lot was Jim Garish. He has a series of videos that have really helped me kind of learn the whole grazing kind of side of production. And then
Oh, yeah.
there's a book called Grass Fed to Finish by Alan Nation that I
Yeah.
read. And that was what those two really helped me educate
Oh, very
and
good.
my knowledge on things here.
I would say that mine is not so much grass ed, I would say, but is the book. Oh, shoot. But the guys that do barbecue down in Austin, it's more of like explaining all the cuts and stuff like that. So that will help
Oh,
me.
okay.
I'm forgetting the man, but I'll give it to y'all. But
Okay.
using that to kind of explain like what a picanha is or a flank steak or other stuff like that definitely helps.
Oh, very interested. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that book titles. I'll have to look it up as well. Excellent resources there. Our second question, what's your favorite tool for the farm?
My favorite tool is definitely our livestock dogs. They help protect them. They are really good about making sure to keep the predators off, making sure our livestock are healthy, are taken care of. And yeah, they run the ranch. We have one that stays with our sheep at all the time, and two that kind of just cruise around the ranch. They kind of cover everything. Whenever we have chickens, one of them hangs out by the chicken coop, and then another one goes out and hangs out with the cows. And so they're kind of just roaming around, making sure everything's taken care of. But that has really helped as far as our coyote problem and making sure we're taking care of the animals as we should.
They keep beating me up for Employee of the Week every month, and I'm a little, I'm always like, man, they won it again, Employee of the Month. Oh, shoot.
You're trying, Thomas. You'll get it one day.
I would say my most useful tool on the farm is probably our sprayer van that we deliver all of our packages and stuff like that. It definitely is very useful that we're driving around as one of our favorites.
Very good. Very good. Our third question, what would you tell someone just getting started?
So for someone getting started, I would recommend just to really know your farm, know your land, know what you have to offer right now, what you might need to change in order to benefit the species you're looking at raising. And then from there, to make a relationship with your local vet. Work with them, let them know what you're doing, whether that's a finishing operation, whether that's a birthing, cow-calf operation, and work with them to make a herd health plan. That way, you know exactly what you need to do, make sure your animals are healthy. If you want to do an antibiotic-free kind of route, then they'll be able to work with you to know what to give them, what not to give them, and things like that.
Yeah, and I would say for starting out on the marketing and the sales side, with selling grass-fed, grass-finished products, is just to be within your community as much as possible and just understanding where they're coming from, as well as it's, kind of more on the, a different industry than you might see on a daily basis. And so understanding where they're coming from is how, and that our product is helpful.
Excellent advice, guys. And our last question, where can others find out more about you?
If you head to our website, you can sign up for our weekly newsletter. Our website's a great spot to kind of get to know us. It has our story, it has kind of our focus, our mission, our values. And then other than that, we're on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. So I'm kind of been getting a lot of content here that I've been posting and stuff. And so it's been fun.
And you can always email us to thomas@bornracetx.com. My number's on the website as well. So if you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to shoot a text or call us there as well.
And other than that, every weekend at the Frisco Farmers Market, you can go visit Thomas and he'll give you a rundown of everything. So that's Saturday and Sunday, 8 to 4.
8 to 4.
Very good. Thomas and Emily, we appreciate you coming on and sharing with us today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Grazing Grass Podcast, where we bring you stories and insights into grass-based livestock production. If you're new here, we've got something just for you. Our new listener resource guide is packed with everything you need to get started on your listening journey with the Grazing Grass Podcast. It gives you more information about the podcast, about myself, and next steps. You can grab your free copy at grazinggrass.com/guide. Don't miss out. And hey, do you have a grazing story to share? We're always looking for passionate producers to feature on the show. Whether you're just starting out or have years of experience, your story matters. Head over to grazinggrass.com/guest to learn more and apply to be a guest. We'd love to share your journey with our growing community of grazers. Until next time, keep on grazing grass.